Marcus and Layla Johnson held hands as they walked toward the shiny glass doors of Prestige Motors, the most expensive car dealership in the city. They were both excited. After years of hard work and saving money, they were finally ready to buy their dream car. "Are you sure we shouldn't have dressed up more?" Layla asked, looking down at her simple blue sundress. Marcus squeezed her hand. "We're buying a car, not going to a fancy party. Besides, our money is the same color as everyone else's." Marcus wore clean jeans and a plain t-shirt. He liked to be comfortable. Few people knew that Marcus was the son of Robert Johnson, one of the richest men in the country. Marcus never talked about his family's money. He wanted to make his own way in life. As they pushed open the heavy glass doors, cold air hit their faces. Inside, fancy cars sat under bright lights. The floor was so clean you could see yourself in it. The place smelled like new leather and expensive perfume. Several workers in dark suits stood around the showroom. When Marcus and Layla walked in, the workers looked at them, but quickly looked away. No one came to help them. "Wow, look at that one," Layla said, pointing to a sleek black car with shiny wheels. "It's beautiful." Marcus nodded. "That's the new model I was telling you about. Let's take a closer look." They walked around the car, peeking through the windows at the soft leather seats inside. Marcus had researched this car for months. He knew everything about it. How fast it could go, how safe it was, even how much gas it used. He had been saving up for this moment for 3 years. After 15 minutes of walking around, looking at different cars, no one had come to help them. Marcus saw 2 salesmen whispering and looking in their direction. He took a deep breath and walked over to them. "Excuse me," Marcus said politely. "My wife and I are interested in the new model over there. Could you tell us more about it?" The salesman, a tall man with gray hair, looked Marcus up and down. His eyes lingered on Marcus's casual clothes. Then he smirked. "Those cars start at $90,000, he said slowly, as if talking to a child. "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the Toyota dealership down the street." Layla joined them, hearing the man's rude tone. "We know the price," she said. "We'd like to test drive the black one, please." Just then, another man walked over. He wore an expensive suit and a name tag that said Richard Bentley, sales manager. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, not looking at Marcus or Layla, but at the salesman. "These people want to test drive the new model," the salesman said, raising his eyebrows. The manager finally turned to look at them. His smile was not friendly. "I'm sorry, but we don't do test drives without proof of financing. It's store policy." Marcus knew this wasn't true. Last year, he had come here with his father and watched as white customers were offered test drives right away, no questions asked. But he stayed calm. "We're ready to pay cash today," Marcus said. "Could we speak with another salesperson?" The manager's fake smile disappeared. "Listen," he said in a low voice. "We have serious buyers waiting. I'm going to have to ask you to leave." People around the showroom were watching now. Some looked uncomfortable. Others pretended not to see. "Are you asking us to leave because we're black?" Marcus asked quietly. "I'm asking you to leave because you're wasting our time," the manager said, his voice getting louder. "Security." A guard appeared quickly. The manager pointed to the door. "Please escort these people out." Layla tugged at Marcus's arm. "Let's just go," she whispered. "This isn't worth it." Marcus took a deep breath and nodded. As they were walked to the door, he felt anger burning inside him. But he also felt something else. Determination. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Marcus and Layla walked to their car in silence. The hot sun beat down on them as they crossed the parking lot. When they got to their 5-year-old Honda, Marcus opened Layla's door first, then went around to the driver's side. Inside the car, Layla reached over and put her hand on his arm. "Are you okay?" Marcus gripped the steering wheel tight. His knuckles turned white. "No," he said. "I'm not okay. What just happened in there was wrong. I know, Lila said softly, but it happens all the time. We just have to move on. Marcus shook his head. Not this time. He started the car but didn't drive away. Instead, he pulled out his phone. Who are you calling? Layla asked. My father. Layla's eyes went wide. Marcus almost never called his father for help. He had worked hard to make his own way in the world, away from his family's money and power. He had a good job at a tech company that he had earned on his own. He and Layla lived in a normal house in a nice neighborhood. Most people had no idea that Marcus was the son of billionaire Robert Johnson. Marcus put the phone on speaker as it rang. Marcus. His father's deep voice filled the car. This is a surprise. Is everything okay? No, Dad, it's not, Marcus said. He told his father what had just happened at the dealership. How they had been ignored, then insulted, then kicked out. As he talked, Layla watched his face. She saw hurt in his eyes, but also something else. A plan was forming. When Marcus finished telling the story, there was silence on the other end of the phone. Then Robert Johnson spoke, his voice calm but cold. That's unacceptable, he said. What are you planning to do about it? Marcus looked at Layla, then back at the dealership through the windshield. I have an idea, he said, but I'll need to borrow 2 cars from your collection tomorrow. Which ones? His father asked. The Rolls-Royces, Marcus said. The black one and the white one. Layla's mouth fell open. Those cars were worth over $400,000 each. Consider it done, Robert said. Do you need anything else? Yes, Marcus said. Can you call James at my office? Ask him to meet me at your house tomorrow morning. And I need one more favor. After the call ended, Marcus finally pulled out of the parking lot. Layla looked at her husband. What are you planning? She asked. A lesson, Marcus said. Sometimes people need to see that their actions have consequences. That evening, as they ate dinner at home, Marcus made more calls. He called his friend Michael, who worked as a reporter for the local news. He called several of his colleagues from work. He called his cousin who ran a popular social media account with thousands of followers. Are you sure about this? Layla asked as they got ready for bed. We could just go to another dealership. Marcus sat on the edge of the bed. This isn't just about us or about buying a car. It's about how people are treated. If we don't stand up when things like this happen, nothing will ever change. Layla sat beside him and leaned her head on his shoulder. I know. I'm proud of you. Just promise me one thing. What's that? Don't embarrass them just to get even. Make this about something bigger. Marcus nodded. I promise. Early the next morning, Marcus was up before the sun. He put on his best suit, the one he saved for important meetings. He kissed Layla goodbye. Good luck, she said. I'll meet you there. Marcus drove to his parents' large house outside the city. In the driveway, his father waited with James, Marcus's colleague from work. Behind them sat 2 gleaming Rolls-Royces, one black, one white. The morning sun reflected off their perfect paint. Robert Johnson handed his son the keys. You sure about this? He asked. It's not about revenge, Dad, Marcus answered. It's about making a point. His father nodded with pride. Then go make it. At exactly 10 o'clock in the morning, Marcus drove the white Rolls-Royce toward Prestige Motors. The car was so smooth it felt like floating. Behind him, James drove the black Rolls-Royce. They had practiced their plan 3 times before leaving. Remember, Marcus had told James, we want to make a point, not cause trouble. As they pulled into the dealership parking lot, people stopped to look. The 2 Rolls-Royces shone in the sunlight. Marcus parked right in front of the main doors. James parked beside him. Inside the dealership, a saleswoman saw the cars pull up. Mr. Bentley, she called to the manager who had kicked Marcus out yesterday. You need to see this. Richard Bentley, the sales manager, rushed to the window. His eyes grew wide at the sight of the 2 Rolls-Royces. Potential big sale, he said, fixing his tie. I'll handle this myself. Outside, Marcus stepped out of the white Rolls-Royce. Today he looked different. He wore a perfectly fitted dark blue suit, an expensive watch, and shiny leather shoes. He stood tall as the dealership doors opened. Richard Bentley hurried out, a big smile on his face. 2 other salespeople followed him. "Welcome to Prestige Motors," Bentley said, his voice warm and friendly. "What an absolutely magnificent vehicle you have there." Marcus looked directly at the manager, saying nothing. He waited to see if the man would recognize him. Slowly, the smile on Bentley's face began to fade. His eyes narrowed as he looked at Marcus more carefully. You were here yesterday," he said, his voice much quieter now. "Yes, I was," Marcus said calmly. "With my wife. You asked us to leave." By now, a small crowd had gathered. Customers from inside the dealership came out to see what was happening. Across the street, Michael, Marcus's reporter friend, was taking video with his camera. Bentley's face turned red. "Sir, there must have been some misunderstanding. If you'd like to come inside." "No misunderstanding," Marcus cut him off. "You judged me by how I looked, not by who I am." James got out of the black Rolls-Royce and stood beside Marcus. 3 more cars pulled into the parking lot. Layla stepped out of one. Marcus's cousin, the social media influencer, got out of another with her camera ready. "These cars," Marcus said, pointing to the Rolls-Royces, "belong to my father, Robert Johnson. Perhaps you've heard of him." The color drained from Bentley's face. Everyone in the city knew the name Robert Johnson, the billionaire who owned the biggest tech company in the state. I had no idea," Bentley stammered. "Of course you didn't," Marcus said. "You didn't bother to find out anything about me or my wife. You just saw the color of our skin and made your decision." More people had gathered now. Some were taking pictures with their phones. "Mr. Johnson, please," Bentley said, sweating now. "Come inside. Let me personally show you any car you'd like." "I came back today to buy the car we were looking at yesterday," Marcus said. "But that's not happening now." One of the salespeople, a young man with kind eyes, stepped forward. "Sir, I want to apologize. I saw what happened yesterday but was afraid to speak up. It was wrong, and I'm truly sorry." Marcus looked at the young man. "What's your name?" "David, sir. David Chen." Marcus nodded. "Thank you for your honesty, David. That takes courage." Bentley tried to push David back. "Let me handle this," he hissed. But Marcus raised his hand. "I'd like to speak with David, actually." He turned to the young salesman. "Would you mind showing me that black model again? I think my wife and I were interested in the wrong car." David looked confused but nodded. "Of course, sir." As they walked toward the showroom, Marcus noticed Richard Bentley's angry face. He also saw the surprised looks of the other customers and staff. But most importantly, he saw Layla's proud smile as she joined him. This was just the beginning of the lesson Marcus planned to teach. Inside the dealership, everything looked different today. The same cars sat under the same bright lights, but now all eyes were on Marcus, Layla, and David as they walked through the showroom. James followed close behind, along with Marcus's cousin, who was recording everything on her phone. "This is the model you were looking at yesterday," David said, stopping beside the sleek black car. His voice shook a little, but he tried to stay professional. "Yes," Marcus said. "Can you tell us more about it?" As David began explaining the car's features, Richard Bentley hovered nearby, his face still red with embarrassment and worry. He kept trying to catch David's eye, but the young salesman focused only on Marcus and Layla. "The engine is very powerful," David explained. "It can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 4 seconds. While they talked, more people entered the dealership. Michael, the reporter, was now inside with his camera. Some customers recognized Robert Johnson's name and were whispering to each other. "And how much does this car cost?" Marcus asked loudly enough for everyone to hear. "This model starts at $92,000, David said. Marcus nodded. The same price it was yesterday when your manager said we couldn't afford it. The showroom went quiet. Everyone could feel the tension. May I ask you something, David? Marcus said. Of course, sir. How long have you worked here? David looked down. Almost 2 years. I started right after college. And do you like it here? David hesitated. He glanced at Bentley, who was watching with narrow eyes. I need the job, David finally said. But no, not always. Some things I see, they're not right. Like what happened yesterday? Layla asked gently. David nodded. Yes, like that. But it's not just you. I've seen it happen to other people too. Marcus looked around the showroom. He wasn't just talking to David now. He was talking to everyone. When my wife and I came in yesterday, we were ready to buy a car. We had the money. We had done our research. But nobody here saw that. They only saw what they wanted to see. Richard Bentley finally stepped forward. Mr. Johnson, please, what happened yesterday was a terrible mistake. Let me offer you a special discount. I don't want a discount. Marcus cut him off. What I want is for people to be treated with respect, no matter what they look like or what they wear. Bentley's fake smile dropped. Of course, we treat all our customers with respect. No, you don't, said a new voice. Everyone turned to see an older woman step forward from the crowd of customers. I was here yesterday, she said. I saw what you did to this young couple, and it's not the first time I've seen it happen in this city. The woman turned to Marcus. Thank you for coming back and speaking up. Most people just walk away. Marcus nodded his thanks to her. Then he turned back to David. I have a business proposition for you, David. But first, I'd like to make something clear to everyone here. He looked directly at Richard Bentley. I came back today not to buy a car, and not to embarrass anyone. I came to show that you can't judge a person's worth by how they look or what they're wearing. Marcus walked to the middle of the showroom, where everyone could see him. Layla stood beside him, holding his hand. My name is Marcus Johnson. I'm the son of Robert Johnson. But that's not why I deserve respect. I deserve respect because I'm a human being, just like everyone else who walks through those doors. People in the showroom began to applaud. Some nodded in agreement. Richard Bentley looked like he wanted to disappear. But Marcus wasn't finished. His plan was just beginning to unfold, and the most important part was still to come. The clapping in the showroom slowly died down. Marcus turned to David with a serious look on his face. David, can we talk somewhere more private? He asked. David nodded quickly. Yes, sir. We can use one of the meeting rooms in the back. As they walked toward the small glass room, Richard Bentley tried to follow them. As the manager, I should be part of this discussion, he said, forcing a smile. Marcus stopped and looked at him. No, this is between David and me. Bentley's smile dropped. He opened his mouth to argue but then closed it again. He knew he was already in big trouble. In the small meeting room, Marcus, Layla, and David sat down at a round table. James stood by the door to make sure no one disturbed them. David, Marcus began, I meant what I said out there. I'm impressed by your honesty. It takes courage to admit when things are wrong, especially in front of your boss. David looked down at his hands. Thank you, sir, but I should have said something yesterday when it happened. He paused. I need this job. Layla leaned forward. We understand. Most people would have done the same thing. Marcus nodded. That's why I have a proposition for you. I'm the head of operations at Tech Future. It's a division of my father's company. David's eyes widened. Tech Future was one of the biggest tech companies in the country. We're opening a new office downtown next month, Marcus continued. We need someone to manage our corporate fleet of vehicles. The job pays twice what you're making here, with better benefits. David's mouth fell open. Are you offering me a job? Yes, Marcus said. Someone with your honesty and integrity is exactly what we need. You stood up for what was right, even when it was hard. Tears filled David's eyes. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Lila said with a warm smile. "Yes," David said, almost too loudly. "Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson." Marcus handed him a business card. "Call this number tomorrow morning. My assistant will set up the paperwork." Meanwhile, outside the meeting room, things were getting worse for Richard Bentley. Michael, the reporter, was interviewing the older woman who had spoken up earlier. Other customers were sharing their own stories of poor treatment at the dealership. Marcus's cousin had already posted videos online. Her posts were getting thousands of views and comments. People were tagging the dealership and sharing their own bad experiences there. Back in the meeting room, David had one more question. "Mr. Johnson, can I ask why you're doing this? You could have just gone to another dealership, or you could have gotten Mr. Bentley fired. Why help me instead?" Marcus thought for a moment. "When bad things happen, we have two choices. We can get even, or we can make things better. I choose to make things better." Layla squeezed her husband's hand. "We believe that change happens one person at a time. Today, you're that person." David nodded, understanding. "I won't let you down." When they walked out of the meeting room, they saw the owner of the dealership had arrived. He was an older man named Mr. Peterson, and he looked very upset. He was talking to Richard Bentley in a low, angry voice. When Mr. Peterson saw Marcus, he hurried over. "Mr. Johnson, I just heard what happened. I want to apologize personally for how you and your wife were treated." "Thank you," Marcus said, "but I think there's something more important you need to do." "Anything," Mr. Peterson said quickly. "Just name it." Marcus looked around the showroom at all the faces watching them. This isn't just about one bad experience. This is about a pattern. And patterns only change when people at the top demand it. Mr. Peterson looked confused. "What exactly are you asking for?" Marcus smiled. He had been waiting for this moment, and what he was about to say would change everything. Everyone in the showroom was quiet, waiting to hear what Marcus would say to Mr. Peterson. Even the customers who had been looking at cars stopped to listen. "I want you to start a training program," Marcus said clearly. "Every person who works here needs to learn how to treat all customers with respect, no matter what they look like or what they wear." Mr. Peterson nodded quickly. "Of course, we can do that right away." "I'm not finished," Marcus said. "I also want you to change your hiring practices. Your staff should look like the community you serve. I don't see many people of color working here." The owner looked around the showroom. He had never really noticed before, but Marcus was right. Almost all the salespeople were white men. "And lastly," Marcus continued, "I want you to start a program to help young people from poor neighborhoods learn about cars and business. Give them a chance to work here and build a career." Now Mr. Peterson looked surprised. That's a lot to ask." "Is it?" Layla spoke up. "Or is it just the right thing to do?" Mr. Peterson thought for a moment. He looked at the crowd of people watching them. He looked at Richard Bentley, who was staring at the floor. He looked at Michael, the reporter, whose camera was still recording everything. "You're right," he finally said. "We'll do it. All of it." Marcus smiled. "Good. And to show that you're serious, I want to see a plan for all three things by next week. My father's company would be happy to be your first partner in the youth program." Mr. Peterson's eyes widened. "Your father's company would work with us, even after what happened." "People make mistakes," Marcus said. "What matters is how they fix them." Just then, another man pushed through the crowd. It was Robert Johnson himself, Marcus's father. Even taller than his son, he wore a simple but expensive suit. Everyone knew his face from TV and magazines. "Dad," Marcus said, surprised. "I didn't know you were coming." Robert Johnson shook his son's hand. "I wanted to see how you were handling things. I'm impressed." He turned to Mr. Peterson. "I believe you, and I have some details to discuss about this new partnership." As the two older men moved away to talk, Richard Bentley finally approached Marcus and Layla again. His face was pale, and his hands were shaking. "Mr. and Mrs. Johnson," he said quietly, "I want to apologize for my behavior yesterday. It was wrong." Marcus looked at him for a long moment. "Do you know why it was wrong?" Bentley swallowed hard. Because of who you are." "No," Marcus said firmly. "It was wrong because that's not how you treat any human being. It wouldn't matter if my father was a billionaire or a janitor. Everyone deserves respect." Bentley looked down. For the first time, he seemed to really understand. Layla spoke up. "The real test will be how you treat the next person who walks through that door in casual clothes." Just as she said this, the dealership doors opened. A young Hispanic couple walked in, dressed in simple jeans and t-shirts. Everyone turned to look at them, then back at Richard Bentley. Bentley stood still for a moment. Then he straightened his tie, walked over to the couple, and said with a genuine smile, "Welcome to Prestige Motors. How can I help you today?" Marcus and Layla watched as Bentley treated the new customers with perfect respect and attention. "That's a start," Marcus said softly. Layla squeezed his hand. A small change, but an important one. As they walked toward the exit, people stopped them to shake their hands or thank them. David was beaming with excitement about his new job. Michael, the reporter, was finishing his story. Marcus's cousin showed them that her videos had now been viewed over 50,000 times. What had started as a simple trip to buy a car had turned into something much bigger. But Marcus knew their work wasn't done yet. 3 weeks later, Marcus sat in his office at Tech Future. Through his large glass window, he could see the busy street below. On his desk was a small model of a car, a gift from Layla to remind him of what they had started. There was a knock at his door. "Come in," Marcus called. David entered, wearing a new suit. He looked different now, more confident, with a big smile on his face. "Good morning, Mr. Johnson," David said. "Please, call me Marcus. We're colleagues now." David nodded. "Marcus, I have the report you asked for." He placed a folder on the desk. Inside were pictures and papers about the changes at Prestige Motors. "Mr. Peterson has kept his word," David explained. "They started the training program last week. Every employee is taking it, even the mechanics in the back." Marcus looked through the photos. One showed a classroom where dealership staff were listening to a teacher. Another showed Mr. Peterson shaking hands with a black woman in a business suit. "Who's this?" Marcus asked, pointing to the woman. "That's their new hiring manager," David said. "She used to work for a big car company in Detroit. She's already hired 3 new salespeople, 2 women and a man who just moved here from Puerto Rico." Marcus smiled. "That's good progress. What about the youth program?" David's face lit up. "That's the best part. They're starting next month. 10 students from Central High School will come to the dealership twice a week to learn about cars and sales. They'll get paid for their time too." Central High was in one of the poorest areas of the city. Most of the students there were black or Hispanic. "Your father's company is providing the money for the program," David added. "Mr. Peterson is calling it the Johnson Future Leaders Program." Marcus leaned back in his chair. He hadn't asked for the program to be named after his family, but he was pleased that real change was happening. "And how are you settling into your new job?" Marcus asked. "It's amazing," David said. "I've already learned so much about the tech industry. And the team here is so welcoming." Just then, Marcus's phone rang. He looked at the screen. "I need to take this call," he told David. "But great work on the report. Let's have lunch next week to talk more." After David left, Marcus answered the phone. It was Michael, the reporter who had been at the dealership that day. "Marcus, have you seen the news?" Michael asked. "No. What's happening?" "My story about what happened at Prestige Motors just won a local journalism award. But that's not why I'm calling. The story has gone national. A big TV network wants to do a special report on it." Marcus was surprised. "Really? Why?" "Because what you did is having a ripple effect," Michael explained. 3 other car dealerships in the city have started similar training programs, and a group of business owners is talking about creating a citywide code of fair treatment for all customers. After the call ended, Marcus looked out his window again. When he and Lila had walked into that dealership weeks ago, they just wanted to buy a car. Now they had started something much bigger. His phone buzzed with a text from Layla. "Have you seen the news? Michael's story is everywhere." Marcus texted back, "Just heard. Hard to believe all this happened because we wanted to buy a car." Layla replied quickly, "No, it happened because you decided to do something about it. Most people would have just gone to another dealership." Marcus smiled at her message. Then he looked at the small car model on his desk. They still hadn't bought a new car. Maybe it was time to try again, but this time, at Prestige Motors, he wanted to see the changes for himself. And he had a feeling they would be treated very differently this time. The next Saturday morning, Marcus and Layla drove to Prestige Motors. This time, they wore casual clothes again, jeans and simple shirts, just like the first time they had visited. "Are you sure about this?" Layla asked as they pulled into the parking lot. Marcus nodded. "I want to see if things have really changed. And we still need a new car." The dealership looked different now. A new sign by the entrance read, "Everyone welcome at Prestige Motors." In the large front window was a poster about the Johnson Future Leaders program, showing young people from different backgrounds. When they walked through the doors, they noticed more changes. The staff was more diverse than before. There were people of different races and ages, all wearing the same neat uniforms. A young black woman approached them with a friendly smile. "Good morning. Welcome to Prestige Motors. I'm Tanya. How can I help you today?" "We're interested in looking at the new models," Marcus said, not mentioning who he was. "Of course," Tanya said. "Please follow me. Can I get you some coffee or water while we talk?" As Tanya showed them around the showroom, Marcus and Layla exchanged looks. The difference in how they were being treated was like night and day compared to their first visit. After looking at several cars, they decided to test drive the same black model they had been interested in weeks ago. Tanya handed them the keys without asking for any proof of financing or making assumptions about what they could afford. "Take your time," she said. "This car drives like a dream." During the test drive, Layla looked over at Marcus. "What do you think? About the car or about the dealership?" Marcus asked with a smile. "Both. The car is perfect," he said. "And the dealership, it seems like they're really trying to change." When they returned from the test drive, they saw Mr. Peterson talking with a group of teenagers. They were the first students in the Johnson Future Leaders program, getting a tour of the dealership. Mr. Peterson saw Marcus and Layla and came over to greet them. "Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, what a wonderful surprise." He shook their hands warmly. "Are you here to check on our progress or to buy a car?" "Both," Marcus said honestly. "And please, call us Marcus and Layla." Mr. Peterson introduced them to the students. "These young people are our first class of future leaders. They're the future of this business." A tall boy with bright eyes stepped forward. "Mr. Johnson, my name is Andre. I just want to say thank you for starting this program. My dream is to own a business someday, and this is giving me a real chance to learn." More students shared their stories. One girl wanted to be a mechanic. Another boy was interested in marketing. They all looked excited about the opportunity they had been given. As they talked, Marcus noticed Richard Bentley working in his office. The former manager had been demoted but not fired. Now he was in charge of training new salespeople, including teaching them about fair treatment of all customers. He asked to stay. Mr. Peterson explained when he saw Marcus looking. He said he wanted to be part of the solution. He's actually doing a good job teaching others what not to do. After meeting the students, Marcus and Layla returned to Tanya to discuss buying the car they had test-driven. The price was fair, the paperwork was simple, and there was no pressure or judgment. As they signed the final papers, Tanya asked, "May I ask what made you choose our dealership? We have strong competition in the area." Marcus and Lila looked at each other. "Let's just say we believe in second chances," Lila said with a smile. They drove their new car off the lot that afternoon, feeling that they had done more than just buy a vehicle. They had helped create real change. But there was still one more chapter in their story, and it would be the most surprising of all. 6 months later, Marcus and Layla hosted a special dinner at their home. Their backyard was decorated with lights and flowers. Tables were set up on the lawn, and catering staff moved around serving food and drinks. "Is everything ready?" Marcus asked Layla as they checked the final details. "Perfect," she said. "The guests should start arriving any minute." This was an important night. They were celebrating the success of the Johnson Future Leaders program. The first group of students had completed their training at Prestige Motors, and tonight was their graduation. The doorbell rang, and soon their backyard was filled with guests. The students came with their families. Mr. Peterson was there with several staff members from the dealership, including Tanya and Richard Bentley. David came with his new girlfriend. Marcus's parents arrived, along with Michael the reporter and other community leaders. As everyone enjoyed dinner, Marcus stood up to make a speech. "6 months ago, my wife and I walked into a car dealership and were judged by how we looked. Tonight, we're celebrating something that grew from that bad experience, a program that's changing lives." He pointed to the students in their nice clothes, sitting proudly with their families. "These 10 young people have learned about business, cars, and customer service. But more importantly, they've learned that they can succeed in any field they choose." Marcus then shared some exciting news. Thanks to the success of this program, 5 other businesses in our city have started similar training programs. And my father's company has decided to expand the Johnson Future Leaders program to 10 more cities next year. Everyone clapped and cheered. Robert Johnson stood up to add his own words. "When my son told me what happened at that dealership, I was angry," the older man said. But Marcus didn't want revenge. He wanted change. "I've never been more proud of him." Next, Mr. Peterson spoke. The dealership owner looked different now, more thoughtful and humble. "I want to thank Marcus and Layla for not just walking away," he said. "They forced us to look at how we were doing business and treating people. Our dealership is now the most successful in the city, and I believe it's because we truly welcome everyone." One by one, the students stood up to share what they had learned. Andrew, the tall boy who wanted to own a business someday, had big news. "I've been offered a part-time job at Prestige Motors while I go to college," he said, "and Mr. Peterson is going to help me learn all parts of the business." After dinner, as people mingled and talked, Richard Bentley approached Marcus and Layla. He looked nervous. "I've been wanting to thank you properly," he said. "You could have destroyed my career. Instead, you gave me a chance to learn and do better." Marcus shook his hand. "Everyone deserves that chance." Bentley smiled. "I'm teaching a class on business ethics at the community college now. I tell your story to every student." As the evening ended and guests started to leave, Layla found Marcus standing alone, looking at the stars. "Penny for your thoughts," she said, taking his hand. "I was just thinking about that day at the dealership," he said. "How something so painful turned into something so powerful." "That's because of you," Layla said. "Most people would have just gotten angry and left." Marcus shook his head. "No, it's because of us. We decided to do something that would last, not just make us feel better for a moment." In the driveway, their new black car gleamed under the moonlight. But it was just a car. The real treasure was what had grown from their experience. A community change, young lives with new opportunities, and businesses learning that respect for everyone was not just right, but also good business. What had started with 2 Rolls-Royces and a desire to teach someone a lesson had become something much more important. A movement for change that would continue to grow long after that day at the dealership was forgotten. The end.